Hello, and welcome to the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning's Family Engagement Opportunity Grant webinar. My name is Laura Wagner, and I serve as the Early Education Empowerment Zone, or E3Z, Director here at the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning. And I am joined today by my colleague, Carolyn Morkeh, who is our E3Z Business Operations Specialist. We're excited to have you join us. For a brief overview of this webinar, we plan to provide a brief summary of this Family Engagement Opportunity Grant, explain the purpose of this grant opportunity, outline the grant criteria and eligibility for applicants, explain a little bit about the focus areas and funding limits, and share information related to the submission deadline and process. This is a competitive grant process, and we hope to support quality family engagement activities in a specified area in our state. Several months ago, there was a Family Engagement Task Force that was convened by the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning, and this task force outlined family engagement as meaning the following: the shared responsibility of families, schools, early education programs, and communities to actively promote, support, and sustain family well-being, healthy child development, strong family-child relationships, and lifelong learning for all children and families. These grants are intended to increase availability and accessibility to quality family engagement programs as defined above, activities and opportunities for family engagement in the Early Education Empowerment Zone and/or Metro Atlanta area as defined by DECAL in an upcoming slide. The purpose of this grant is to increase the availability and accessibility to family engagement opportunities, to provide supplemental educational outlets that promote, encourage, and support community awareness and advocacy, and provide access to free, ongoing parent leadership and child development resources in one or more of the early education empowerment zones and/or in the Metro Atlanta area as defined by DECAL. Criteria are that programs should serve families with children ages birth to 8 years old and be located in one or more of the early education empowerment zones, or E3Zs, and/or within the Metro Atlanta counties designated by DECAL. Programs must also fit within one or more of the following focus areas: advocacy, community connection, education, or health and safety. They must also increase the availability and accessibility to quality family engagement programs, activities, and opportunities. And programs must also submit a completed application on or before the specified deadline. Our E3Zs are as follows. In Central Georgia, we have Bibb County. In East Georgia, Clark County. In North Georgia, Catoosa, Gilmer, Gordon, Murray, and Whitfield counties. And in South Georgia, Brooks, Colquitt, Cook, Eccles, and Lowndes counties. Our Metro Atlanta area that is eligible includes Cherokee, Clayton, Cobb, DeKalb, Douglas, Fayette, Fulton, Gwinnett, Henry, and Rockdale, and is open to including the city of Atlanta as well. The grant opportunity is opened to all legally operating organizations, agencies, child care providers, faith-based groups, and human and social service agencies, nonprofits, and for-profits within the state of Georgia who currently offer or will offer family engagement and educational opportunities for families with children birth to 8 years old in one or more of the E3Zs and/or Metro Atlanta counties. And also do please note that if an applicant has more than one facility in each donor county, he or she may apply for funding for each county program on a separate application. Our focus areas are education and strengthening families as a child's primary educators and nurturers, community engagement and assisting families as connected, supported members of the community, advocacy and empowering families as child advocates and leaders, and health and supporting families as safe, healthy, and self-sufficient caregivers. Successful applications will outline plans to address at least one of these focus areas. These grant opportunities are for up to $15,000 of potential grant funds. And our applications must be submitted by 5 o'clock p.m. on January 22nd, 2016. And our submission contact information is FEOG for Family Engagement Opportunity Grants at decal.ga.gov. And in the meantime, if there are any questions about the grant application or the funding or any other related information, please do contact Carolyn Morkeh, our Business Operations Specialist for our E3Z team, at carolyn.morkeh@decal.ga.gov or by calling 404-657-3437. And with that, I am pleased to turn it over to my colleague, Carolyn.
Thank you, Laura. Again, I'm Carolyn Morkeh, and I'm going to review the second portion of the Family Engagement Opportunity Grant with you. This section of the grant application consists of 14 questions, a budget section which includes the budget worksheet and budget questionnaire, as well as the certification page. Now you will notice that each question is assigned a numerical value. This represents the maximum points you can receive for that question. It is important that you pay attention to what each question is asking, as well as address each element of that question. So let's begin our review. Question 1 is a 3-part question that's worth 10 points. This question is intended to inform the reviewer about your scope of work and what you do or plan to do, your goal, objectives, and activities you plan to implement as it relates to the Family Engagement Opportunity Grant. This is one of the only questions that specifically asks you to address in your answer how you will meet the birth through 8 requirement in your program as defined on page 1 of the grant. So be sure to thoroughly answer each element of this question in your response. Question 2 is inquiring about the focus area or areas that you have selected to build your family engagement program around. In your answer, you should discuss how funding will allow you to accomplish this goal. Focus areas are detailed on page 1 of the application. Remember, this question is worth 5 points. Moving on to question 3, we are looking for you to explain how your program will specifically meet the family engagement goals and objectives outlined in the grant application. Family engagement is defined on page 1 of the grant application, so use this as your reference when answering this 10-point question. In question 4, we're asking you to discuss your proposed program timeline. This 5-point question is asking you to outline all activities that you need to accomplish in order to successfully launch your program on its start date. For example, you might need to secure space or location or even a guest speaker, or perhaps develop marketing materials and implement your recruitment plan. If these are elements that you need to accomplish prior to your launch date, then they should be included in your timeline. We also want you to address how often you will have family engagement activities and the types of activities and your event ideals in this section. Question 5 is a two-part question. And we're asking for the program's location. We want to know which E3Z zone or Metro Atlanta County you will host your family engagement activity. A complete list of the E3Z locations and Metro Atlanta counties can be found on page 1 of the grant application. The second part of this question deals with the intended population that your program will serve. Remember, the population you serve must fit within the context of the population this grant is intended to reach. This question is worth 5 points. Let's take a moment to discuss question 6. The Family Engagement Opportunity Grant is designed to cover all program expenses, alleviating program participants from all financial responsibilities. However, if the requested funding amount does not cover the program and you plan to charge program participants to attend, you must give a complete written justification explaining why the Family Engagement Opportunity Grant will not cover your program expenses, why there is a need to charge, and the amount you will charge participants. Moving on to question 7, we want to know how you will meet the various cultural needs of the population you will serve during the family engagement event. For example, will you need interpreters? Will materials be available in multiple languages? Or will you offer child care and transportation? If so, these elements should be addressed in this section of the question. This question is worth 10 points. In question 8, we are looking for you to detail and elaborate on your marketing strategy and recruitment efforts. How will you package your program to the population you want to serve? Will you use flyers, agency websites, newsletters, and/or any other streams to get the word out about your program? What will your recruitment efforts include? Will you visit agencies to discuss your program? Will you partner with other agencies in an effort to assist with recruitment? Whatever your plan consists of, please detail it in this section. This question is worth 5 points. The next question, number 9, deals with measuring your program's effectiveness. We want to know what metrics or tools you will use to measure your program's effectiveness against the overall goals that you established and discussed in your application. Will you use surveys? Will you use attendance or other measuring instruments to gauge your program's effectiveness? How will you know your program is on target with reaching the overall family engagement opportunity goals? Please detail that in this section. This question is a 5-point question. In the next question, question 10, we want to know what your plan is to continue offering family engagement activities after the grant period concludes. So in your response to this question, identify what type of plans you have made to ensure that your program continues after the grant goes away. This sustainability question is worth 5 points. Question 11 is asking you to detail your experience with providing family engagement activities and/or opportunities. In other words, what type of previous experience, if any, have you had offering family engagement programming? In your response, include types of funding received to operate a family engagement program, funding sources, activities, focus areas, if any, and your recruitment plan. This question is worth 5 points. Well, question 12 is pretty straightforward. We are looking for you to highlight qualifications of the staff who is responsible for overseeing your family engagement opportunity program, as well as all activities. List the staff credentials, degrees, years of experience, and other pertinent information related to operating a family engagement program. This question is worth 5 points. Questions 13 and 14. 13 and 14 are designed to find out about your experience, if any, with DECAL. Both are worth 5 points. So in question 13, we want to know if you're awarded a grant, how DECAL can support and partner with you to ensure effective administration and management of grant funds. So for example, you might need ongoing technical assistance. If that is the case, this is where you will include that information in your response. Question 14 differs in that we want to know if you currently partner or have previously partnered with DECAL on implementing programs, or if you have received any type of funding, including funding from initiatives from DECAL to operate a program. If so, please describe it in this section. Now that concludes questions 1 through 14 of the grant application. Let's move on to the budget. Now the budget consists of the worksheet and the budget rationale. This section is worth a total of 10 points. Please remember that your budget should reflect operating costs for a full year, as this grant will run for 12 months. The budget worksheet is broken down into 3 sections, Section A, B, and C. Section A of the budget worksheet is where you will record equipment and supplies you will need to operate your program. In this section, you will include marketing materials and office supplies. Section B of the budget worksheet is used to record consultant and guest speakers' expenses. And Section C is where you will record if you're going to have space that you need to rent, staff pay, and any other items needed to implement your program that does not fall into Sections A or B of the worksheet. Along with the budget worksheet is the budget rationale. This is where we are requesting you to write a detailed justification of your budget. This is where you will bring it all together for the reviewer. Your justification should include explanations for all line itemizations listed on your budget worksheet, as well as in your grant application. And finally, we have the certification page. It is important that you read, sign, and date this page. Include the title of the person completing the grant application here. This page with original signatures must accompany the grant application. In conclusion, I want to give you a few helpful hints to remember as you work your way through the application. First of all, be sure to read each question thoroughly. Because several questions have multiple parts to them, it is important for you to provide a response that satisfies each element being asked. Secondly, double check your work. Check for accuracy, grammatical errors, and that you have included all information and documentation requested. Thirdly, as you're constructing your budget, remember it's for a 12-month grant period, and your budget must be reasonable, allowable, and allocable. Fourthly, be sure to complete the certification page, sign and date the application, and original signatures must accompany the grant application. And finally, return the completed application on or before the deadline of January 22nd, 2016 by 5 o'clock p.m. On behalf of Laura Wagner, E3Z Director, and myself, Carolyn Morkeh, Business Operations Specialist. Thank you for tuning in, and good luck.